Sorry, everybody.
All right, no problem, Coach. Thanks for a couple of minutes. We will begin with Dina King.
Hey, Coach. I was wanting to know your opinion on Cedric Gray's performance against Virginia.
I thought he played great. He's improving every week. He's got really high ceiling. He's got a lot of skills that for an inside linebacker, but I think he's also got real pass rush ability, and that's important to us. And did a great job in coverage. So I think he's got I'm really glad he's here. I did great.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Jay. You guys held Virginia to 21 rushing yards, but also gave up 553 passing yards. Just curious as to your perspective on those stats, and does it say anything about how the role of defensive football is evolving?
Yeah. So a year ago when we played and we got done, and we started really examining, especially in the offseason, I felt like we really didn't defend anything. I felt like a year ago it was like, when we took away the run, they threw it. We took away the pass, they ran it, and we didn't end up not defending anything. And so kind of in the offseason, some of the decisions we made, how to play them, especially some of the personnel groups they give you, it was like, look, we're going to take away the run and try to play man coverage. And I thought that was really important to us, Greg, because I felt like that at least made us, hey, look, guys, this is what we're going to have to take away. And this is what we're going to have to defend now. And I thought in the first quarter, we did a really good job. And then I thought in the second quarter, we had, our corners got beat. We got drilled outside a little bit. And I think at halftime, we came in and said, okay, now look, right, we've now got to go, play some more split safety coverage and a little bit more cover two and some of those things. And I think that we kind of got it back on track. So I think the plan was good. I think it really limited what they could do in the run game. Especially like, with all the jet sweep stuff they like to do, we felt like we had really good edges for that. And so, it was kind of like pick your poison. I knew going in, we weren't going to hold them to 21 yards passing. Right. Because the quarterback's a really good player. They got really good receivers. They got really good scheme. I don't remember the exact number. We got somewhere around 30 to 40 snaps of empty personnel, with no backs. And, so like when they're doing that stuff, like they're going to complete some balls with a quarterback like that. But, I'm certainly not happy. Right. So, now it becomes, okay, look, these were the fundamental errors we made in coverage. These are some of the mistakes we made in coverage. We got to fix those. And we'll start with that on Tuesday. But, I think the plan was good, and I think if you just said like, Jay, the way the first quarter went, the way the third and the fourth quarter went was kind of how I thought it would go. Obviously the second quarter was awful, and so I think that's kind of how I look at it. That was a long answer, Greg. Sorry, buddy.
Let's go over to Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, what did you get from Cedric Gray on Saturday night, and what do you get from him that maybe you weren't previously getting?
You mean at that position or from Cedric?
Well, at that position, and also from Cedric, because he didn't play up in Blacksburg on defense. So What is he doing differently? But also, what does he bring to that spot that maybe you weren't getting?
So I think he gives us a little bit more of what Chaz gave us as far as a longer, bigger body with some of the pass rush stuff. I think he's a really, really good cover guy. When we first signed him, we thought he could maybe play safety, because he was a receiver in high school. In fact, I think most of his early offers as a high school kid were at receiver. And so I think there's that. And then, he's a sophomore that keeps getting better. Every day we go out to practice, I come on the field, I say, man, he's good. And he is really smart. Football makes a lot of sense to him. Cedric Gray plays Mike and Will, like probably as efficiently as Gimmel would, right? To be able to handle both spots. So, I think Cedric's got a really bright future, but, he's a little bit longer, a little bit, we were matching up on that tight end, looked like a power forward, just a little bit longer body, some of those kind of thoughts. And I thought he played really well when he was in there.
How about the versatility that Kamen Rucker brings you? He's shown that again the other night. He's got 3, I think, of your 5 sacks, but he's not just a pass rush guy. He can do a lot of different things for you. Can you just kind of speak to the whole package that he's able to give you guys?
It's funny. We had one blitz in the package, and I told him during the week, I said, look, Kamen, if you're in for this was a coverage component. I said, this is Chris Collins' play. If you're in at this position, I call this, you have to act like your hamstrings pulled. And so, but he actually did a really good job. I'm kidding, but so Kamen, I think, has improved tremendously in coverage. When he first got here, he had never been asked to drop in his life, right? So he's improved tremendously in coverage. But, I think his number one skill, right, is pass rush. And I think what we try to sell the outside backers on is, look, when you have value in coverage, right, what that means is they can't tee off on you and double team you. And I think that was important, especially early in the game against Virginia, was we had him and Taman. We were trying to have Taman and Rucker rushing as much as we could. And I think when they were both in there and they both have ability to drop in coverage, it kept them from being able to double team both of them. And Kamen's lined up and played really 4 positions for us this year. And I think he's got a chance to be a really, really good player.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam Smith.
Hey, Jay. Just to pick your defensive mind a little bit here, as a defensive coordinator who's been through the league for several years, when you're preparing for a team, an offense, and a quarterback, like you guys have in Sam Howell, who's in his 3rd year, and you see a jump in the rushing production like he has been able to make the last 2 weeks, like just as a defensive coordinator, when you think you're familiar with a guy, and you see him doing something that you haven't seen before, what does that do to you? What do you think? What's your reaction to that? And what do you think? And what do you do?
My first reaction would be good luck. I think in the summer, going up against him, we noticed very quickly of how much he improved running the football. And I think he's doing a great job. I think Sam's a great player. I think anytime you add the run component to the quarterback, it makes it really, really hard to play defense.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach Bateman. From my untrained eye, it seemed like Virginia's quarterback had a lot of time back there and was able to pick you all apart. What do you do to get more pressure on him? What's the strategy to try to get more of a pass rush going throughout the game? And how did you improve on that, in the second half when I thought you played better?
I think early on, I thought our pass rush was pretty good. And then I thought they did a really good job of giving us some, changing up protections and really made it hard for Kamen and Taman and Dez and Chris to get there from the edge and kind of forced us to be, inside pass rush conscious. And then, a lot of the pressures that we like to use against those kind of protections, right, were hard because of the empty stuff, right? And so it was hard for us to get it quite right. And that's really where we started having problems. And then I thought at halftime we came out and said, we're going to play a little more coverage to give the pass rush a little bit more time. And I thought when that happened, I thought the pass rush improved. So, we had 3 sacks, but when they drop back as many times as they do, you need to have more like 6 sacks, right, to be efficient in your pass rush. So we've got to get a little bit better pass rush from the inside guys. I think we've got to do a better job. I've got to do a better job creating opportunities for the edge guys.
It seems like, coming in the second half, the adjustments you make seem to usually work to some extent. What's that like at halftime or even like kind of during the game to make adjustments? Like what's your mindset? How do you approach that has proven to be somewhat successful here this season?
I think we go in at halftime and we say, okay, look, we went into the game expecting them to attack us in this way and they're attacking us in this way. And so this is the components of our defense that help us defend this kind of attack. You with me? That's the nuts and bolts of it. I think the bigger issue right now for us is the second quarter is like being able to adjust on the sideline to things that we're seeing instead of having to go in and sit in front of the board and me say, look, this is how we got to play this. And I think that's the step I want to see our kids take right now.
Let's go over to Ken Segura.
Jay, I was curious, just in looking at Georgia Tech, getting ready for them, what do you see and maybe how they progressed from last year? Actually, you didn't see them last year, don't take that back, but just that kind of what do you see overall?
I think they're much further along, than from when they got there and they were making the transition, offensively. So I think the two running backs are great players. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a great player. Probably one of the best backs we'll play. I think the two quarterbacks, they both have played are very similar athletic guys. I've got a lot of respect for both of them. Obviously, number 10 was a kid last year that was on all the freshman All-American kind of stuff, and we spent a lot of time in the offseason looking at him. And then, Yates is a kid that we looked at him recruiting, and I just think he's, got won a state championship, just a winner, runs around, makes plays, competes his tail off. So I think they got really good skill at running back. They got two really athletic quarterbacks. And I think where they've made the biggest improvement is O-line. They're just bigger, able to move people a little more. So I think, you have to do a great job in the run game. And then I think the two receivers out there are guys that when you play one-on-one coverage are able to beat you, so it's going to be a challenge, and I think this will be the first offense we've played, really with a tailback that's a real difference maker, where you got to really get in there and sometimes just saying, hey, this guy's going to tackle him and good enough. You got to get real, your best tacklers to the ball. And I think that'll be a challenge for us.
Okay, we have time for two more. We'll first go over to CL Brown.
Hey Jay, I was hoping you can break something down for me. As a defensive mind, it seems like maybe the next trend is to go to for defenses is this 3 safety look that Virginia used, and I think Georgia Tech is going to use some possibly on Saturday. What do you see kind of as the benefits of that package, and is that something that you have? Is that something during the summer maybe you seriously took a look at and considered?
So we have a little bit of it too. We probably played it about 40 snaps last year. We've already played it 4 or 5 snaps this year. So I think the benefit of it is, you add a second level to your coverage. You add with all the RPOs, all the intermediate throws that attack your, put conflict on your deep defenders, and you kind of have a guy there or 2 guys there that can kind of sit on those routes and then defend the run. And I think, CL, I think offensive coordinators nowadays that, and I thought Phil did a great job Saturday, because I think a lot of offensive coordinators just, they run it for 5 and they're like, that's not enough. I can throw it for 12, and I think, when Iowa State kind of started it, it was in the Big 12 where people were scoring 40, 50 every game. And it kind of like slowed the offenses down, right? Made them earn the run game a little more. And then you're able to go play run defense and get off blocks and all those things, that make football special. Right. So, I think it's definitely got a place. I think it's, NFL teams do it a little bit, not as much because the RPO game isn't as big in the NFL with the O-line rules, but it's really built to defend RPOs and try to slow down the passing game. And it certainly has a place. We've used it some. I think for us, we have enough things right now that we work on that we feel good about. But it's certainly something every year we look at and consider it as an option.
Thanks. Yep. Okay, we'll close up today with Gregory Hall.
Jay, is part of, I guess, the sideline adjustments not being as effective just because UNC's offense isn't on the field for very long? You don't have as much time as maybe opponents do. No,
I mean, shoot, I like when they score fast, Greg. You know what I mean? Like, scores are good. I think it's more just our kids being able to see the big picture on some things. You with me? And I do think we're way better than we have been. I think the other part of it is as a staff getting together and saying, hey, look, this is what I want to do. What do you guys think? And kind of hashing it out and then going in there and saying, oh, look, guys, this is what we're going to do. So, I think we've had some pretty good plans. I think obviously Virginia Tech wasn't a very good plan initially, but we kind of settled down once we kind of changed things there. But I think we've done a really good job since I've been here. Like the initial, the first quarter's been pretty good. And then I think as people have adjusted to how we're defending them, we've got to do a better job with that. And kind of, okay, look, if we're taking this away, this is the next thing they'll go to instead of having to go in at halftime and add to it. So that's our next step.
And I wanted to ask you about Des Evans. Obviously, the talk of him in the preseason and whatnot, offseason is just about his pass rush ability. That hasn't quite been there, but he's been super successful in the rush defense. Just what have you seen out of his game and what needs to progress further to maybe earn some more snaps?
Yeah, I think he's playing a lot. I think he's playing the right amount right now. We want to get him more reps. I think more reps will come for him. you're right. He has been a great run defender. And I think the pass rush will come. I think with young D linemen, a lot of times the hardest thing is being good in the run game and then transition into pass rush. And so I think with Dez, it's trying to get him to understand, when he can steal a pass rush snap, when it's 2nd and 9 and the offensive tackle and the deep, the other guys on defense are telling us it's pass, like getting a pass rush and go. And he's playing really well right now. I think the sacks will come.
All right, Coach, thanks for a couple of minutes. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, guys.